ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापादकमलम् श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतुषे नमः। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, welcome again to Sri Damodarashtakam class. I hope everyone had a good Deepavali and a very nice Govardhan puja. So, which is why we did not discuss Sri Damodarashtakam together yesterday. So, today we will be continuing after a short break that we've just had. We are going to be continuing our discussion of the Sri Damodarashtakam. Damodarashtakam is, as we've been discussing, a very elevated text, not a text that we should so simply treat that is like a cute little poem or something. It is a very elevated and very intense shastra. And we are going to be finding that especially in the discussions of text 6 and 7 and text 8. In the build-up to these texts, the subject topic or the subject matter has not been so intense, so esoteric, so philosophical. Now this speaks to the height of the philosophy that the Damodarashtakam is discussing. If we can say that a text that begins with the notion that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is captured by the love of his devotee, if we can begin with this and say that this is the less esoteric aspect, then we can have some idea of how esoteric, how intense the text we are studying is. This is a topic, this is a theme, this is a notion that confuses many people. When my Muslim or Christian friends, whenever they will ask me sometimes questions, and they'll ask about the saints or so, and in general it is better not to say these things to them because they won't understand. But sometimes accidentally I'll let it slip and I'll say something like, the Vaishnav, the sadhu, he controls Krishna. Krishna surrenders to the sadhu, to his devotee. And if I say something like this, they become very confused. How can this be so? Not to say that they do not have philosophy. They do have philosophy, and deep enough philosophy. Srila Prabhupada spoke very highly of Lord Jesus Christ and of Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him. Srila Prabhupada spoke very highly of them. But the knowledge they were giving was not the highest knowledge. Maybe they had it. Maybe they did not. But still, what they preached was relevant for time, place, and circumstance. It was not the fullness of philosophy. And so their modern-day followers, most of whom have not properly inherited the original teachings anyways, their modern followers, they struggle with these ideas. So these ideas, even for the most prominent theistic groups, now forget the Mayavadi. The Mayavadi thinks they are Krishna. They're so far away from any proper conception of transcendence, they have no real understanding. But if even the most prominent and difficult, challenging, complex, beyond their understanding, even the beginning ideas of this text, we must understand these ideas are very elevated, but they're about to get even more so elevated. So because we've had a quick break, I'm going to briefly go over the first 5 or so texts, and then we will continue our study and dive deep into the 6th and 7th texts. So I will not speak at length about the first 2 texts, because by now we've had a recap of them a fair few times. But what are they? Again, texts 1 and 2, they are the expansion, or rather they are one large sentence, all focused in on one word, namami. I give my respects. And this is a word that will come up again in the 6th text, so let us not forget it. Let us keep it in mind. Nama, to offer respects. So I offer my respects, I offer my worship. And who am I offering my respects, my worship to? Namamishvaram Sachidananda Rupam. Sachidananda Rupam. Ishvara. The Supreme Lord, who was composed of eternity, consciousness, and bliss. This is maybe not so difficult for everyone to accept. It is when we get further on that we are speaking of higher and higher and higher and higher things. And what are those higher things? Lasat Kundalam, not just the tattva, the nature of the Supreme Lord and his form and his body, but what is the nature of his qualities, his beautiful jewelry. Quite naturally, he is his qualities. And his paraphernalia are all his devotees. Because Lasat Kundalam, his earrings, they kiss his lotus cheeks as he runs away from Mother Jashoda. Even the personalities who surround him, even they, or rather even the paraphernalia that surrounds him, even his jewelry, they are all personalities. And they are all devotees. Why? Because as we hear at the end of the 2nd text, Sthita Graivam Damodaram Bhakti Badham. We hear that he's Bhakti Badham, he is conquered by devotion. However, Srila Sanatana Goswami has described that actually Bhakti Badham means Bhaktyaiva Badham. Not that Krishna is conquered by bhakti. He is. But he is conquered by so much more. Krishna, he is conquered only by bhakti. Only bhakti can conquer Krishna. And therefore, how can he have contact with anything that is not saturated with devotional moods? How can there be anything in Golok besides his devotees and all those beings who are saturated in bhakti rasa? So in this sense, we can understand. We can understand what? We can understand that even the paraphernalia are personalities. Because in order for bhakti to exist, there must be a personality. Trees do not fall in love. Chairs do not fall in love. Ooh, but personalities do. So the earrings, they sway back and forth. Gokule Brajamanam. And he is running around in Braj, in Gokul. And there we find all of his associates are there as well. So higher than his qualities are his associates. And then we have, of course, his pastimes. Yashoda Abhiyo Dhavamanam Paramrishtamatyantato Drutya Gopya. So he is running away with fear at his fullest speed away from Mother Jashoda. However, she captures him from behind. So quickly. Even though Krishna, he is running as fast as he can. Dhavamanam. Still, Mother Jashoda, she captures him from behind. Because Krishna, he is not willingly caught or captured by his devotee. No, no, no. Krishna is so much conquered by the love of his devotee that whether he likes it or not, his devotee rules over him. And then Rudantam Muhur Netra Yugmamrijantam Karam Bhoja Yugmena Satanka Netram Muhu Shvasakam Patrire Kankakanta Sthita Graivam Damodaram Bhakti Badham. Then we find this Namami clause to be completed in what? Rudantam Muhur Netra Yugmam Rajantam Karam Bhoja Yugmena Satanka Netram. That he is constantly rubbing his eyes like this. He is rubbing his eyes like this constantly. Why? Maybe to produce tears so that Mother Jashoda, in her maternal mood, would go easy on him, not chase him so much. She would give up chasing him because of the maternal sympathies she feels in her heart. And then he is also, maybe for the other reason, that maybe tears are coming because he realized, oh, I'm not getting out of punishment this time. And therefore he is rubbing his eyes in order to get the tears out of his eyes so that he can see the way with which to run. And then so he is that personality with the three triple lines like the conch shell on his neck. And who is he? What is the name of this personality who I've been describing now for 2 texts? He is Damodar, and even higher than this name of Damodar, he is Bhakti Badham. So these are the first 2 texts, and then we hear Iti Driksva Lila Bhir Ananda Kunde Svaghoshan Nimajantam Akhyapayantam. Now we have heard about the glories of the pastimes. We have heard of the glories of all of the ingredients of the pastimes, mainly Tattva, Guna, associates and pastimes. All of these things we have heard. But what is the glory of hearing or witnessing these pastimes? Iti driksva lila bhirananda kunde svaghosham nimajantam. Firstly, Krishna, he places his devotees into a pond of infinite spiritual bliss just by being able to witness these sweet pastimes. And furthermore, by manifesting these sweet pastimes, the Supreme Lord, he is able to place himself into that pond of infinite, spiritual, ecstatic bliss. How? By glorifying the glories of his elevated devotees. And then that is the first result. Swalilabhir ananda kunde svaghosham nimajantam. Then what do we hear? Akhya payantam tadi yeshita gyeshu bhaktair jitatvam punah prematastam shatavriti. Akhya payantam tadi yeshita gyeshu bhaktair jitatvam. To proclaim to those people who are qualified to understand. Qualified to understand what? That Krishna, he is jitatvam, bhaktair jitatvam. He is conquered by his devotees. Those who are qualified to understand and those who are not having this idea because they are completely absorbed in the Aishwarya conception. To this personality, Puna Prematastam, Shatavriti Vande. And then we come to texts 4 and 5. These texts are the ones which we have just completed studying. And they are repeating the same theme. What is the value? What is the value of any other thing besides my Supreme Lord? What is the value of any other thing besides seeing this form? We are seeing now the intensity of the desire that the devotee has to witness not any form of the Lord, but this specific form of the Lord, the specific form of Damodar. And so what do we hear? Varam deva mokshamna mokshavadhim va na chanyam rineham va reshadapi ha. Oh, Deva, oh personality who is manifesting all these wonderful, beautiful pastimes constantly. Varam mokshana, all boons or impersonal liberation. Moksha vadhimva, or even mukti, transcendence, obtaining forms in Vaikuntha, going back home, back to Godhead to serve Narayan in Vaikuntha. Even that. Even not that, not chanyam, or any other thing, any other possible benefit I could get from the execution of devotion. What am I doing with these? Vrineham, I am not praying for these. These things are not the things I pray for. Vareshadapi, Vareshad, from you, O Lord, who is more than capable of giving anything that I want. Apiha, in Vraj, here in Vrindavan. And so the Supreme Lord may ask, well, if you don't want any of these things, what do you want then? And then Satyavrata Muni says, Idante vapurnata gopala balam sada me manasya virastam kimanyai. What do I want? Idante vapurnata gopala balam. This form of yours, this beautiful form of yours, O Lord, of the sweet Gopal child. Sada me manasya virastam. Let it be eternally manifest in my heart. Kimanyai. What use do I have for anything else? Not only what use do I have for any other boon, any other thing I may get through devotional service. Not only that, but what use do I have for any other form of the Lord? As much as I have respect and worship for Ramchandra, for Varahadev, for any other form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I have so much respect, so much love, but this attachment I have in my heart can only be satisfied by Damodar. This is the mood, Satyavrata mood. So the Supreme Lord, he is happy with this. He says, this desire is very satisfying to me. So he says, tell me more, what exactly is it that you want? And Satyavrata Muni says, Idam te mukham bhojam atyanta nila vritam kuntalai snigdha raktascha gopya muhush chumbitam bimba raktadharam me manasya virastam amla laksha labhai. That this form of yours, this beautiful face of yours, not just now the form, but specifically the wondrous face, Satyavrata Muni becomes more bold, more bold, more bold. And we'll find in the 6th text he becomes even more bold. He becomes even bolder. But we will come to that soon. He's becoming more bold, more bold, more bold. Before he is beginning just with prayer, just with worship, with paying respects. He's paying respects to the Lord. Then he proceeds to pray to the Lord. And after proceeding to pray to the Lord, then now he is asking, demanding of the Lord something. And what is he asking? Initially he's asking only to see the form and in his heart, and now he is asking to see specifically the face. And what of the face? What of this lotus face? He wants to see the transcendental black hair surrounding that lotus face. That transcendental black hair which is inconceivable. Inconceivable to the mind. This black hair he wishes to see. And not only does he wish to see this black hair, but he also wishes to see the other beautiful qualities of this transcendental face. What else does he wish to see? He wishes to see the beautiful red lips of Sri Sri Damodar, and the cheeks, which are constantly being kissed by Mother Jashoda. May this beautiful vision constantly dwell in my heart. This is the prayer of Satyavrata Muni. I have no need for any other boon, or any other benediction. And then we come now finally to the 6th text. Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prasiddha Prabhu Dukkha Jalabdhi Magnam Kripa Drishti Vrishtyati Dinambatanu Grihane Shamamagyam Edhyakshi Drishya. So now we are hearing this text. So let us quickly go through the word for word, and then we will hear something about some comments. This is a very deep text. It's discussing very many things. So what does he say? Nama, again, paying respects. Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prasiddha Prabho Dukkha Jalabdhi Magnam. Nama, Namo Deva, oh Lord, oh Deva, I am bowing down to you. And what is the nature of this Lord? Who is this personality. Again, we are finding a list, but unlike before, where all of the nouns were descriptions of Damodar, now it is just a Harinam Kirtan. It is just a Harinam Kirtan of the various names of the Lords. And what are they? Namo Deva, Damodar, Ananta, Vishnu. So, Namo Deva, Damodar, Ananta, Vishnu. Here we are hearing a sweet kirtan. And what is he saying then to this personality he is singing the sweet kirtan to? Prasida Prabhu Dukha Jalabdhim. Oh, please be pleased, O Master, O Prabhu. For I am immersed in the ocean, which is a network of material miseries. Kripa drishti vrishtyati dinam batanu. So, by the kripa drishti vrishtya, kripa we know, kripa means mercy, drishti, the glance, and vrishtya is like rain. So, by the constant rain of your merciful glances, ati dinam, the most very fallen person, bata, oh, what is my condition? Dinam batanu grihna nesha mamagya medi yakshi drishya. So anugrahana, please accept Isha, O Lord, Mam, me, Agyam, who is so ignorant. Edhyakshi drishyaha. Drishyaha, again we are finding it. Please come and be perceptible that my eyes may see you. So here we are finding Satyavrata Muni is begging. Before he was begging for what? He was begging that the Supreme Lord may appear in his heart. And now he is begging that the Supreme Lord may appear before his eyes, that he may have a direct vision of the Supreme Lord. This is what he is praying for. So then, what are the deeper meanings of this text? We will now begin to discuss. But before we do that, we will just quickly speak. The seventh text continues this train of thought. So this text is very much establishing not just the demands of Satyavrata Muni, not just what he wants, but also his humility, the position he sees himself. And this is the position we must have if we are to beg such high things from the Lord. The lower we are in humility, the greater the things we will achieve. The more we empty ourselves of our pride, the more we are open to receive so many great things. So the humility which is required is also embodied in this text. And 7 continues the theme of this by showing that the Supreme Lord is so merciful. So actually 6 and 7, the theme is mercy. Mercy, mercy, mercy. So 6 is the prayer for mercy, and 7 is the pramana, the evidence that actually my Supreme Lord, I'm not a fool to expect or hope for mercy. My Supreme Lord is more than happy to give mercy. So, how do we begin? We begin by hearing that now there is a certain level of prem that has arisen in Satyavrata Muni's heart. He is feeling rather ecstatic. Why was he feeling rather ecstatic? Because now, by his prayers, there has been a very strong, how should we say, a very strong level of Krishna consciousness that has arisen. And with this Krishna consciousness has come a strong desire to see the Lord even directly. However, what is the way then that he saw as the best way to see the Lord? It was Nama Sankirtan. So Satyavrata Muni, he is having this strong desire, this strong ecstasy. He's thinking, I want to see the Lord. I want to see him before my eyes. And what does he do? Does he go to some Ras Lila performance? Does he dive into 10th canto of Bhagavatam? Does he read the Ras Lila constantly? No. Satyavrata Muni, what does he do? He prays with Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Of course, we know the most effective means of sankirtan is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But there are many ways to perform Harinam Sankirtan. It is just that the Mahamantra is the most effective. We also know Mahaprabhu is very fond of this bhajan. Hari Haraye Namma Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namo Naha. This was sung all the time. So many names of the Lord are here. So Sankirtan, this is the means by which we can obtain all these high things. Which is why Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur so much emphasized that his disciples preach. Not just because he felt the preaching had been neglected. Because one might say maybe preaching was being neglected, but why should it be a priority? It should be a priority because it is the tried and tested true way that Shastra, our acharyas have given us, by which we can be purified. By which we can be purified to enter into the higher things. By which we can enter and be qualified to enter into these things. Sankirtan, this is the great way. And Satyavrata Muni, he is so nicely embodying this. He is wanting something very high. Only very rare souls get direct darshan of the non-murti form of the Supreme Lord. And very few rare souls get proper darshan of the murti. How many people go, and even though they might tell themselves all sorts of philosophy, all they see is marble. They do not see that the Supreme Lord is there dancing in the kirtan. So what is the most effective way? It is Sankirtan. Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu. This is the means. The names of the Lord. This is the means by which we can obtain these high things. In fact, we find that the ecstasy that Satyavrata Muni was feeling at this point was so intense that in fact he forgot to say Tubhyam. Normally Tubhyam is said when one is praying. One is praying to say, oh, unto you, O Lord. We know, Namo Ananta Lilaya Devaya Tubhyam. Unto you, O Lord, I'm giving this worship. But he forgot it. He was so ecstatic. So, Satyavrata Muni, he is saying then, what is he saying? He says, Prasida Prabhu Dukha Jalabdhi Magnam. Please be pleased with me. Prasida. Be pleased with what I am offering you. Lord, there's nothing that I can have, but please, whatever I give, please find it pleasing in your sight. And why does he want the favor of the Lord? Why does he want the Lord to be pleased with him? Why? Because Prasida Prabhu, oh Prabhu, please be pleased with me. Why? Because Dukkha Jalabdhi Magnam. I am drowning in the unbroken chain of miseries. The unbroken net which has captured me. I've been caught like a fish. If we ever see the videos of fish getting caught, they throw the net out into the ocean and then they pull it out, and there's all these fish there, and they're all caught in the net. They cannot escape. In the same way, Satyavrata Muni is saying the conditioned soul, he is like this. This is, of course, the pains, the net of suffering that we feel. In one sense, the net is Maya. The net is Maya, which is capturing us all. The net is all of our material desires which hold us down. Actually, these desires that we have, they do not hold us down. We hold ourselves down. There is a story of one guru, and his disciple was coming. And the spiritual master, he said, come and live in my ashram with me. And the disciple said, sorry, Gurudev, I cannot do this. I have this and that. I have so many things. They are holding me back, Gurudev. Maybe with your mercy, Gurudev, I will become elevated enough that I can join your ashram. And so later that day, the disciple, he was walking. And he saw his guru holding yelling out, calling, help, help, help. And instantly the disciple ran thinking, oof, what's going on? Gurudev, I hope he's not in trouble. And then he saw his spiritual master holding onto a small stick in the river. He was saying, "Help, help, help, I'm being caught in the waters. I'm being caught in these waters, please help." And the disciple said, "Gurudev, just let go of the stick. The stick isn't actually helping you." And then the spiritual master said, "No, no, 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 no. I cannot let go. This is such a terrible stick. It is holding me down." And then the disciple is very confused and he says, "Gurudev, I don't know how to help you. All you need to do is let go. That's all that's stopping you. You have no reason to hold on to the stick." And then at that moment, the spiritual master, he let go. And he said, "And this is all you need to do before moving into my ashram. You merely need to let go. You merely need to let go of your attachment. And if you let go of it, this is all you need to do. It's easy as that. It's just how willing are you to do so. These attachments are all being generated by your mind, but they are not real. You are the one who chooses to entertain your attachments." So this is one way that this net of sufferings is. This material world which we hold on to. We say, "Oh, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it." But if we truly hated it, we would be ready to let go of the intensity of attachments we have for it. But how ready are we? How ready are we to abandon all that we feel, that we have in the hopes of this material world? We are not so ready. So then, the other meaning, however, and this is the meaning Satyavrata Muni is meaning, because Satyavrata Muni is a great devotee of the Lord. The other chain of sufferings is not just material existence, but the suffering that he is feeling because he is not able to see the Supreme Lord before his eyes. This is why he's praying this. He's saying, Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prasida Prabhu Dukha Jalabdhi Magnam Kripa Drishti Vrishchati Dinam Batanu Grihanesha Magyam Edhyakshi Drishyaha. He wants to see the Supreme Lord, and the fact that he cannot see the Supreme Lord before him. What does this mean? This means, oh Lord, I'm feeling such an ocean of pains, such an ocean of torment. This is all that I'm feeling. But please, Lord, I am feeling all of these things in this massive ocean, this abdhi, dukkha jalabdhi magnam. I'm feeling all of this because I'm separate from you. So please, Lord, be pleased with the intensity of pain that I feel in separation from you, oh, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please, this is all I pray. And so, praying like this, Satyavrata Muni, he keeps on speaking. And what does he say? Kripa drishti vrishchati dinam batanu. And ati dinam, what does this mean? It means I am the most fallen. I'm praying all these things. Please be pleased with all these things. But what can I do to please you, Lord? I am ati dinam. I am the most fallen. But why am I the most fallen? Srila Sanatana Goswami says that the Satyavrata Muni is feeling he is fallen. Why? Because he is lacking the association of the devotees. So many of us in this Corona period, we have been complaining. We've been complaining rightfully so, and for good reason, and very respectfully. I have nothing but admiration for those devotees who are saying this. But they're saying, I am not able to have darshan of Radha Gopinath. I'm not able to serve Radha Gopinath for this and that reason because of this Corona period. I just wish to have darshan of my Radha Gopinath. And this is good. But they're saying in this Corona period, I'm waiting to have Radha Gopinath's darshan. Actually, we should be praying like Satyavrata Muni. We should be thinking, I cannot wait. I'm so fallen because now I'm not able to have access to that thing which I really need. What is that thing which I really need? I need access to the devotees. I am not having contact with Radha Gopinath, but what I am hankering for is contact and association with Radha Gopinath Das. Where is my association with the devotees of Radha Gopinath? This should be our prayer. And this is the prayer of Satyavrata Muni. I am so dejected, I'm so fallen. Why? Because I'm not having the association of the devotees, and therefore my bhajan is useless. Jagadananda Das Pandit says that if one chants without the association of the Vaishnavas, even though their lips seem to move, even though the syllables of the holy name appear on the tongue, the holy name will not appear. It will be blank, it will be empty. Heavy, intense, but true. We should cultivate this mood. We should be so hankerous, so desirous, not to see the Lord, but just to see Vaishnav Thakur, just to see the devotee. And if we keep this in mind, it'll also help to remind us that we are nothing great. We are nothing elevated. We are nothing immense. What are we? We are very little. And when we realize we are very little, as I said before, we empty ourselves of our ahankar. And being emptied of our ahankar, we are able to be filled with prema. Ego can be such a damaging thing. And we can get ego over nothing. Practically speaking, we are Anu Caitanya. We are not Vibhu Caitanya. We are a small chunk of consciousness. We are the tiniest chunk of consciousness. Krishna is the grand ocean of infinite consciousness. And yet we are hearing so much about Krishna Katha, and if we are having ego, then we are the greatest fool. Salya in Mahabharata was once speaking to Karna, speaking about the ego of the sons of Dhritarashtra. And he gave a very sweet parable of the crow and the swan. Because there was once in a land a crow. And this crow, he would fly around and he would beg from all the local villagers. And they would all be very nice and they would give him some food. They would give him some food. They thought, this poor crow, we will give him some food. And so the children, they would play and they would give the crow food, and the crow would, fly down and eat the food off the ground. And the crow would do like this constantly. But one day arrived some swans. These swans were very beautiful, elevated swans. Such wondrous creatures, effulgent, beautiful, majestic. And when these swans appeared, the children, they decided to make a little joke. And they told the crow, they said, "Crow, look at these swans, they're amazing, aren't they?" And the crow, he looked and said, "Yes, they are amazing. These are amazing creatures." And the children, they said, "Oh, but crow, you are greater than even them. They cannot even dream of doing the things that you do, O great crow." The crow, he heard this and he thought, "Oh, actually, they've got a point. That makes sense. I believe that." This is what they said. This is what the crow said. And so the crow saying this, the crow believing this, went up to the swans. And what did the crow say? The crow said, "Hey swans, you guys are cool, but I'm much more efficient than you." And in the same way that Krishna's court laughed when Pondrak, the fake Vasudev, came and spoke and said, sent his messenger, the messenger of that Pondrak came and spoke to his court and said, "Pondrak is the real Vasudev." In the same way that they all laughed, the swans laughed as well. They said, "What are you saying, you stupid crow? That you're as great as a swan?" Laughing and laughing, and the crow's ego was hurt. And he said, "Why are you laughing? I am surely greater than all of you swans." And the crow said, "I will prove it. Let us have a race. I am able to fly up. I'm able to fly down. I'm able to fly left and right. I'm able to fly in all the 10 directions. I'm able to fly upside down, right side up. I'm able to fly spinning in circles. I'm able to fly with my eyes closed. I can do all sorts of tricks. I can do barrel rolls. I can do all sorts of things." And the swans say, "Okay, we accept this. We accept this race. But we have to tell you, we can only fly simply in the one direction. The same direction that all swans fly." And so like this, the crow said, "Okay, very good." And so, so like this, They said, we will race them. And so all the crows, they came, they heard, oh, one of the crows, he is flying. He is racing against the swans. So they all went to watch, and so the race began. And the crow, he shot off, and he did many wondrous tricks flying around here and there. And the swan, very simply, we know all the swans, they fly in one direction at a certain time of year. So the swan merely started flying in that direction. And all the crows started laughing and slapping each other's backs and saying, look, this swan, so much ego these swans have. They think they're better than us. Actually, it was the crows who had the ego. But because they had the inferiority complex, they projected this ego onto the swans. And so they said, look at this swan. He can only fly in one direction. Look at our crow. Our crow will win this race. Look how good our crow is going. And they were all laughing. And the swans were all merely silent, just watching. And so the swan kept on flying, kept on flying, kept on flying. And as it continued to fly, the swan continued to fly, but the crow began to feel weak. The crow began to feel very weak. Because he was tracing after the swan. He was going like this. And so he realized now, being a little weak, he looked around and he was thinking, has the swan worn out yet? And he saw the swan was very far away in that direction. And so the crow flew in that direction. He was not yet getting weak, fully weak. He was just starting to feel tired. And he saw the swan and he was catching up. But as he got closer to the swan, he realized there are no trees here. There is no ground for me to land on. And he kept on flying, kept on flying. And suddenly his tricks were less impressive, less impressive. And at one point he was so weak, with one wing he was flying and the other wing was just tapping into the water. And the swan turned around and he said, oh, crow, you were saying all the many tricks you will do for us. This is some new trick. You're flying with one wing in the water and one wing in the air? This is some brand new trick. And the crow, with his ego getting hurt, he pushed a little more. And then at one point he could do nothing. And almost bowing, he gave his pramans. Namami, he said, unto you, O great swan, O great Hamsa. I give my respects unto you. Surely I am not as great a flyer as you. Please, I beg you, you have won this race. Just give me your mercy and carry me back to shore. And the swan, being so noble a creature, looked at the crow and felt mercy in his heart and said, okay. And he gave the crow shelter and allowed the crow to sit on his back. And doing this, he carried the crow back home. And the crow was transported back home. And then the swans all saw, and they all said, we won. And the crows all thought, what to do? We lost. And the crow, he spoke, though, to the other crows, and he said, all you fellow crows, be careful of the danger of pride. It was only because of pride that I did something as foolish as try to race the swans. From here we see these are the dangers of pride. These are the dangers of pride. So we must avoid pride. If we constantly hear Krishna Katha, then we will naturally avoid pride. Why? Because Krishna's Vibhu is Vibhu Chaitanya. And we are Anu Chaitanya. We are the small consciousness. And he is the great consciousness. So like this, we must keep our humility. So then continuing, with this humility, as ati dinam, therefore he is praying, Kripa Drishti, please cast, please give me your merciful glance, like a downpour, Vrishtya, Vrishtya, I want the rains to pour of your mercy like a torrent, flood me with the mercy of your merciful glance. And in this way, anugrahana. When we sing the bhajan, these words get separated, but actually it's anugrahana. Not anugrahana, sorry, what am I saying? Anugrihana. I always get this wrong. I'm not used to saying it. Anugrihana. We split it into two to keep the poetry correct. But actually it's not dinam batanu, it's dinam bata, dinam bata, and then anugrihana. So, anugrihana. Then you will revive me from this ocean of misery. How? Because I'm dehydrated. Sometimes we'll say you can actually die of dehydration in the ocean. When you are in the saltwater ocean, because of the salt levels, you can die of dehydration. Because you cannot drink the salt water. This seems silly, but actually it is true. And it is a saltwater ocean, separation from Krishna, this material world. We dehydrate, we do not drown. We dehydrate to death. But where are those luscious waters that can rehydrate us? They come from the rainfall of the merciful glance of the Supreme Lord. Kripa drishti vrishtyati dinam batanu grihana. And then what does he say? He says, Isha mam agyam edhyakshi drishyaha. He says, edhyakshi drishyaha. Please, become visible before my eyes. Because he's asking for mercy. Give me your compassionate glance. Give me your mercy. But what form does he want the mercy in? Satyavrata Muni, he is being very clear. The form that I want your mercy to be in is by seeing you directly visible before my eyes. And there is nothing rarer than having direct darshan of Krishna. Because of this, Satyavrata Muni, he has saved it for the later parts of the prayers. If he had asked for it at the beginning, this would have been almost inappropriate. In the first and second verse, he is giving his pranama. Namameshwaram Sachidananda Rupam. In the third verse, then he is beginning to offer prayers. And in the fourth and fifth verse, he is saying that all other goals are pointless. But now, he is not offering vandanam as prayer. He is directly asking the Lord. He is asking the Lord that the Lord may be directly visible before him. And why is this then said after the previous two? Because actually it is higher to see the Supreme Lord with one's senses than it is just to meditate upon him in the heart. Meditating upon the Lord constantly in the heart is very, very high. Very, very amazing. Very, very potent. It is a transcendental activity which we should all aim to be doing. But the reason why we do it is that so our senses may be purified and we may see the Lord with our very own eyes. Not our very own eyes as we have now these filthy eyes that can see only the material world. No, but the transcendental eyes of our spiritual form. Our spiritualized eyes which can perceive the Lord. With these eyes we may see the Supreme Lord. This is what Satyavrata Muni now is praying for. And this is higher than seeing the Lord within the heart. This is higher than even that. This is the highest thing, actually. So, and how is he aiming to get this high thing? This is the highest thing. This is the rarest thing. This is the most excellent goal. Sanatana Goswami, he appeals to what? He appeals to the Brihad Bhagavatamrita in order to make this point. But we do not have time to get into those shloks. So, appealing to the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he is explaining, actually this explains very well the elevated nature of the direct darshan of the Lord. This is the highest thing, to see the Lord directly with one's eyes. So sometimes people say, oh, I saw the Supreme Lord in a dream, I saw the Supreme Lord like this or like that, just randomly. Maybe this is true. Krishna can do whatever he wants. Out of his mercy, he can appear in somebody's dream. But it is not so likely. It is a very rare, very high thing. And how is this very rare, very high thing achieved? Again, Satyavrata Muni, he is saying that he is now implementing the greatest means by which we can achieve anything in any yuga, but especially in Kali Yuga. And what is that? Nama Sankirtana. Namo Deva Damo Darananta Vishnu So what are those names? These names have very many beautiful meanings. There are very many names that are used, and Sanatana Goswami has given commentary on each one. First we hear Deva, Namo Deva. Deva in this context means you whose form is divine, O most beautiful Lord. This person, this beautiful Lord, who is having this divine form. And why is he mentioning the form? Because he wants to see the form with his very eyes. So he's making very clear, he's not just randomly saying names, not like a madman. He's saying, Krishna Gopal, Damodar, Gopinath. Although that is still very valid. But he is, again, Satyavrata Muni, he is having a very clear intent with his prayers, as we have already established. So he's referring to the Lord who's having the most beautiful form, who's having a form which is so divine. He's mentioning this because he says, well, I kind of want to see that form. And then what does he say? Namo Deva Damodar. Oh Bhagavan. He's referring to the name Damodar. Why? Because in the form of Damodar, we find so strongly that Krishna is Bhakta Vatsalyata, that he is that personality who is having deep affection for his devotees. Because of this quality, he was allowing his mother to bind him up around the stomach. And because of this quality, I'm appealing to it. Again, he's very strategic with what he's thinking. He's saying, Lord, you are bhakti badham, by the devotion of your devotee, by the desire for your devotee to have transcendental pastimes with you, you allow them to bind you up. So because of this quality, this Damodar, Damodar refers to when you are bound up. Damodar is a name which refers to the pastime which so strongly embodies this. I am appealing to this, and I'm saying for the same reason that you allowed Mother Yashoda to bind you up, please manifest yourself before me so that I can see you face to face. Please, please, please do this. This is the only reason you appear before the eyes of your devotees. Srila Prabhupada writes in a purport in the 7th canto that actually Krishna can do anything he wants through his Shaktis. He is having all Shaktis. So why then does he ever appear directly to his devotee? Why then does he ever directly appear? There is no reason why he needs to. Anything that he could ever aim to do, he can already do by his unlimited potencies. But no. Instead, the Supreme Lord does actually have to do something. There is one thing that the Supreme Lord cannot do through his potencies. And what is that thing? That thing is that he cannot appease his devotees by his potency. Only by appearing directly, only by appearing directly before his devotees can he appease them. And therefore, Bhakta Vatsalyata. This is why the Supreme Lord, if we ever see Vishnu Tattva, if we ever see Krishna Nrsimhadev, any form like this, the reason why they have appeared is because the devotee wishes to have their darshan. Very sweet. And this is why Satyavrata Muni is using this name, Damodar. And then what does he say? Namo Deva Damodar Ananta. Ananta, which means the unlimited, the endless Lord who has no end, who has no limit. He's saying, in what way especially are you unlimited? You are unlimited in the mercy you have. Again, maybe I do not have the necessary devotion for you to appear before me, but still you are ananta, you are unlimited in your mercy that you have for the devotee. Please, with this unlimited mercy, pour it out onto me and appear directly before me. This is my prayer. This is my desire. Oh, Ananta. And then what does he say? Prabhu. Prabhu is the next name he uses, isn't it? Prasida Prabhu. Then he says, Prabhu, oh Lord. Prabhu is meaning Lord with all of these potencies. And which potency does the Supreme Lord have? He has the inconceivable potency, by which even the unlimited Supreme Lord can become visible to the eyes of Satyavrata Muni. So what is he indicating here? You are Prabhu. You are he who has all potencies. And by your potencies, you are capable to become visible to my eyes. Even though you are beyond the grasp of the senses, even if my eyes are not fully spiritual, still you have the inconceivable ability to appear even before these eyes that I have now, even though you are adhokshaja, beyond the material perception. And then, well, what does he say? Grihanesha. Anugrihanesha. Anugrihana Isha. O Supreme Independent Controller. Isha means the independent controller of all things. So because you are independent of all things, because you are the highest controller, then you don't need anyone else's permission to give mercy unto me. If I am referring to you by this name Isha, you are able, there are no rules of logic you need to follow that cause you not to give your mercy unto me. And furthermore, there is no one who you need to ask to get permission for to give your mercy unto me. So why do you not just give your mercy unto me? All you need to do is give it. Even to a person who is as unqualified as I am, all you need to do is just say, yes, I will give mercy. And then it will come. And then after Isha, what comes? We hear, oh sorry, I forgot. Before Isha there is Vishnu. Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu. Vishnu is a very famous name. There is a very rasic meaning of the name. This person who is always in the caves and groves of Vraj. But in this sense, actually, we are not referring to the rasic meaning. We are referring to the more Aishvarya meaning. Oh, all-pervasive one. Vishnu is that personality who was present in all reality. And so what is the meaning by this? Satyavrata Muni is saying, you are present everywhere. It doesn't even cause you any effort to appear before me, because you are anyways present before me. To appear before my eyes is like this for you. It is no extra effort because you are Vishnu. You are always, you're all present, you are omnipresent, you are everywhere, always. So this is the meaning of Vishnu. There is another meaning also, however, and these are all of these names put together, and it is contrasting them. Sanatana Goswami says that Satyavrata Muni, he's also meaning something else. He is saying, yes, you are Ananta, yes, you are Vishnu, yes, you are Ananta, one without boundless, one who is boundless, one who is infinite. Yes, you are Vishnu, that personality who is pervading all existence. But you are also Damodar. You might be boundless, you might be all-pervading, but you are also Damodar. You are also that personality who allows his devotees to bind him up. And therefore, even if you are Vishnu, even if you are Ananta, still to please your devotee, you are more than happy. To what? You are more than happy to allow yourself to be bound up, to be limited. If you, the all unlimited personality, in order to please your devotee, are allowing yourself to be bound up, then what will you not do? Then please do for me this favor. Please grant me this by allowing me to see you before me. These are the very deep meanings of these names. Very specific, very intentional is Satyavrata Muni's usage of these names. So, like this, we have studied a bit of the 6th text. Tomorrow we will discuss the 7th text, and then next week we'll discuss the 8th text, and then we will speak a little bit about the Madhya Lila. Okay. So, what is this text? I will sing it now, and then we will conclude for today. And please remember this, what we are discussing in these classes as we are singing Damodarashtakam every night. So, Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prasiddha Prabho Dukha Jalabdhi Magna Kripadrishti Vrishtyati Dinam Vatanu Grihane Shamamagyam Edhyakshi Drishya. So with this, let us keep in mind constantly, as we are praying, the many deep meanings Srila Sanatana Goswami Acharya Pad has revealed to us. Shri Shri Sanatana Goswami ki jai, Shri Satyavrata Muni ki jai, Shri Shri Padma Purana ki jai, Shri Shri Damodarashtakam ki jai, Shri Hari Bhakti Vilasa ki jai, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Kartik Masa ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Damodar ki jai, Shri Urja Vrata ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.